Am I wrong? Overnight hospital says. Am I wrong for not allowing a woman's partner to stay overnight in the hospital with her and their baby after she gave birth? I gave birth to my second child recently. In my country, if you have given birth in a public hospital, you will generally get put in a shared room afterwards with another woman and her baby. As such, partners can't stay the night, although can generally be there longer than standard visiting hours. I think it was 8 AM to 9 PM. It was getting close to the end of the hours partners can stay. My husband had left a little while before to go be at home with our older child. The woman and baby I'm going to be sharing the room with get wheeled in, accompanied by her partner. They're getting settled in when a midwife approaches me and asks if I would be okay with the male partner staying in the room for the night. There were some complicating factors and they would appreciate it. My husband was also invited to come back. Not possible, as our overpast childcare had already left town. I'm not comfortable with that and inform the midwife. She's obviously annoyed but doesn't push it. When she tells the couple, they become quite irate, but he leaves pretty shortly afterwards. I go to sleep soon, but a few times when I wake up with my baby I did hear her crying, and the midwives were also in and out of our room all night helping her with her baby. Adrenaline Anxiety says. I think it's wrong of the hospital to put you both in this situation. Olga Doctor says. It would have been great if they could have found another room to accommodate her. I've seen them give a double room without a roommate when they had the space. And especially in case of complications, I'm sure there's some accommodations they can make on the floor. Didsikat 105 says. I long ago stopped thinking hospital staff would use common sense, and I work in healthcare. Not wrong of you to object. It is a shared room/bathroom and your comfort while recovering from the birth is no less important than the other patients. GHJKL098 says. Not wrong. Unfortunately, when you are in a shared room, the hospital can't just pick and choose which rules you follow and discard. If you aren't comfortable, that's the end of the discussion. If the hospital wanted to facilitate him staying, they could have done so, but not in a shared room. Maid 3R says. And why is the nurse annoyed? Part of her job is to make people comfortable, not picking sides and being annoyed at someone because they are uncomfortable. Rules apply in the same way to both of them. The Bookworm 65 says. The nurse is annoyed because her job put her in an impossible situation. She cannot make one patient comfortable without causing discomfort to the other patient. Buttercup 2323 says. I shared the first night with a couple. Dads are allowed here. He was the noisiest hash plus around. Cracking open a can of pop at 2 in the morning was my limit. I'd been asleep for all of 2 minutes with all his not whispering and dripping stuff. And my own baby. I startled awake and without thinking loudly said "Oh for F carat CKSAKE," like really loudly. They were quiet the rest of the night and left really early in the morning. Mary 4209 says. I shared a room with a young couple in 2023 where all they did was break up and make up, and the guy was an asshole, but she kept begging this guy to stay. He really didn't want to, calling her immature to need someone there to help her, and that's what nurses are for. Gerlinky says. This happened to me the last time I was admitted, non-labor but still in a room with another woman, and her 75-year-old idiot husband stayed in with her and caused nothing but problems. I finally had enough and lost my cool. He behaved quite well the rest of the night. Frick that guy. Lady Jean 888 says. NTA. When you're sharing a room, that means both people have to be comfortable. You just gave birth. This is your time to recover. It's already hard enough sharing a room with someone else. You shouldn't have to tolerate any additional guests after hours. You shouldn't feel bad at all for standing your ground on what you're comfortable with after giving birth. Mum Figeral says. Not wrong, all these people saying you are can do one. The hospital could have got her put in a different room where her husband could have stayed if it was necessary. Just because you didn't have complications doesn't mean you don't have the right to feel comfortable and safe just after giving birth. Delirium Red says, if they had room for that, they wouldn't be rooming multiple women with newborns together. This was probably the only option they had, so the partner can stay. Happylocker 233 says, NTA. This sucks me so much. Nearly every woman would love to have their partner stay overnight with them. I had an emergency section for my first and mega complications with my second. Each time, my husband had to go and come back within normal visiting times. Would him being there have been better? Yes, but it was a shared ward, and Jesus, some of the other dads were awful. The rules are there to protect everyone. I knew when I picked my hospital it was a shared ward afterwards. There were other hospitals that had single rooms for after. Texas teacher says, not wrong, they should have put her in a private room if her partner staying was that important. Liluna Domina says, this is difficult. While your comfort is also important, the request made was not unreasonable either. Birth can be traumatic, especially a complicated birth, and she may have really needed that support. If the midwife was the one who asked you, she probably thought it would help. Leni Attack says, the rules were created for a reason, and it was a shared room. Requesting it wasn't an R move, but getting annoyed/irate is. Am I wrong? Throra Severe Depp says, am I wrong for kicking my in-laws out of my parents' house? To begin with, my 25 female, husband 31 male, and I started dating 6 years ago when he came to study at the same university I was going to, and although I met his family then, and he met mine, his family didn't meet mine until a few days ago when they traveled to my country to meet our daughter, one female. My husband is African American, and I'm Argentinian and white. And of course, when my in-laws, 50s, met me, although they didn't say it, they were sure that my grandparents were all Nazis, because that is a stereotype that many ignorant Americans have of my country. But even though I'm white, because my dad and mom are, my grandmother isn't. She's a descendant of Native Americans, because you know, the term Native American includes the natives of Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay and all the countries that are within the American continent, because America is a continent. Well, they came to my country a few days ago, and I honestly didn't expect them to be friendly, because I knew they were furious about having to come here. I say that because my sil. 20s is a person who uses Twitter a lot, and for some reason she believes that everything she sees there is 100% real. So she believes in all those stereotypes that people have about us, where they think that here we are all grandchildren of Nazis and that people of color or indigenous people doesn't exist, and she put those ideas in my in-laws' heads, and that's why it took them so long to come here. The point is that they came and were very rude to my family, because since they arrived they complained that the trip was horrible, that the people are horrible, because almost no one speaks English. Then they started criticizing us for having moved in with my parents while our house is under construction, which we decided to do because the rents here are really expensive, and my parents told us that it was best to move with them since they have a lot of space here, and that way we could save more money. When they said that, my parents told them that they have no problem having us here because this way they can spend more time with their granddaughter, and when they said that, my mom took it as an offense and started saying that she would also spend more time with her granddaughter if we visited them. And at that point I got tired because I didn't want to hear them fight, so I decided to change the topic of conversation, but it didn't work. And I was willing to put up with their behavior, but the last straw was that they were offended when I spoke in Guaran with my grandmother because they thought we were talking bad about them. They learned some Spanish, so they didn't feel the same when we spoke in Spanish, and I politely told them that it was best for them to return to their hotel because they clearly had no intention of having a peaceful lunch, nor were they making any effort to get along with my family. and my husband supported what I said and told them that they were embarrassing him, that my family was always good to him and always treated him like a son, and that what they were doing was wrong. And they now think that I brainwashed him and that's why he told them that. And honestly now I couldn't care less what they think. Am I wrong? Fuzzy Medicine 247 says, not wrong. I'd let them try again tomorrow somewhere besides your parents' home, so that you have the option to just leave if you need to. Next step after that is remote visits, so you can end the call if you need to. Protect your own health and sanity. I'm glad your husband is on board with you. Down says, and 1. Kudos to your husband. He chose you and is spending his life with you. Good for him. 2. Your husband's family are complete shitheads. You owe them nothing. You can try inviting them again, but stick to your guns. Confused at 63 says, here is an idea for fun. Admit you did brainwash him and ask them, isn't he so much better of a person now? Ha ha ha. Star the Magician says, yeah, I often get a kick how people forget that there is a South America. And the term Native American does not just indicate indigenous peoples in North America. How ignorant. No one speaks English. How utterly charming. Good for your husband for having your back. Your parents sound absolutely lovely. And you, my friend. YNW. Heffalump1NG says, you are not wrong, and you and your so are stars for standing up for yourselves. It is very hard to do that against family, especially when they have strength in numbers. Even better on you and your so for standing up for your family too. Keep all interactions with each side of the family separate moving forward. OK Independent 5335 says, you're not wrong. They are being AHS. Maybe meet somewhere neutral if you do meet up with them again. Well done for being polite under such provocation. That's a skill. Quiet Hamster 6509 says, people like that, they won't change because they don't want to. Whatever and Breathe says, not wrong. They are actually being racist. Yeep, simple as that. To make it simple, imagine if the skin colors were reversed and they were white people coming to a country predominantly black and acted exactly in the same way and saying what they are saying. Just not acceptable. They need to educate themselves quickly, because whatever they think your family history, your culture is now part of their grandchild too. So everything they are saying it about their grandkid. You better give them a reality check. Racism isn't just a white person problem. By the way, your family sounds very nice. Not a Cranky Panda says, I have no idea how or why your parents even let them stop. Shotrequel8209 says, not wrong. I'm truly amazed at how many parents I'm acquainted with do not transition from parenting children to being a parent with adult children. They insult the partners of their adult children and everything else, where they choose to live, when they choose to have kids, how they earn their living. Then they get jealous if their adult children prefer to spend time with their in-laws, who accept the adult children as adults. These same parents expect their kids to take care of them in their old age. ChipChop 666 says, America isn't a continent. America, Canada, and Mexico are North America. There's also South America with 12 sovereign states, Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, Paraguay, Peru, Suriname, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Lost in Liz 1 says, good job creating boundaries. Your husband's support is awesome as well. I think you handled this situation quite well. My has Zero Fire 2023 says, you're not wrong for kicking the out, but you're wrong to generalize an entire country or continent of white people to feel that you must be a Nazi because of your ethnicity. I've actually never heard anything like that about Argentina. I live in an extremely ignorant region. Destiny89 become SM says. That Native American comment though. Is that a legit thing? Because I thought Native Americans were those that were native to America, not the South American continent. But only the northern one. The things you learn. Throra Severe Depp says. Is that a legit thing? It is. Native American refers to the groups of people who were here in America, the continent, before the arrival of Christopher Columbus. Wise Monitor Lizard says. Yes, what Op said is true. Native American refers to any indigenous person of the Americas. Indigenous people of the US, like myself, are North American native, while they would be South American native. There's also Mexican and Central Native American. But honestly, we are all just indigenous. They're just our southern cousins, really, lol. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.